What up, everybody? It's your boy, Cardinal Red, and we're back for another one. Alright, y'all, so today we talking the ugly truth about Yordenis Ugas versus EIMANTAS Stanioninis. Box off, no Errol Spence fight. Alright, y'all, so it's been a few weeks since Manny Pacquiao went down to Yordenis Ugas. Gotta give you guys all the credit in the world for getting that victory. I know everybody wanted it to be Pacquiao versus Spence for that, historic or career-defining fight for Manny Pacquiao to leave the sport on. Unfortunately, we didn't get that. We got Pacquiao versus Ugas, which ended up being a great fight for Ugas. Now, moving on, everybody expected, because we heard from Errol Spence calling you guys out. We heard you guys' response. We heard Pacquiao say he wanted a rematch. We heard you guys' response, and then Pacquiao retired. Well, what's happened in the meantime is somehow Errol Spence has gotten out of this fight once again. It seems like the toughest fights I want to see Spence in, he ends up, sliding right out of those fights, and he ends up fighting somebody I really don't want to see him fight. I think the Ugas-Spence fight would have been extremely entertaining, and I think you guys had a good chance of beating Errol Spence Jr. By using that same punch he utilized against Manny Pacquiao, his reach, and then that looping punch. Now, I've never heard of EIMANTAS Stanioninis. No shade to him. I'm sure he is a great fighter. He is the challenger to Yordenis Ugas' super title. Jamal James is the regular champion. The WBA has slid in and called for this box-off tournament to happen between the 1, 2, 3, and 4 place. Well, I don't think it's the 1, 2. Well, I guess it's the champion, the regular champion, and the 2 challengers for those titles. So they're all going to fight it off. And then they want 1 champion for the welterweight division. And I think what they're doing, though, is causing a problem for the unification. And I think they want 1 champion for the WBA, and that's it. And unfortunately, everybody else wants 1 champion for the welterweight division, period. And so it's I don't know if it's the WBA protecting Spence from you guys by calling for this mandatory and calling for this tournament, if they had to set up the whole time. Because if you think about it, if this wasn't Yordenis Ugas, if Pacquiao was never stripped, why didn't they call for this when Pacquiao had the title? Because they could have sent Pacquiao to fight EIMANTAS Stanioninis instead of stripping him from the title. They should have just called for a mandatory fight with they. Actually, it would have been with Yordenis Ugas at the time. So it makes me wonder now why they stripped Pacquiao, elevated Ugas, and now they're calling for this tournament all of a sudden when they could have done that when Pacquiao was the champion. Makes it look a little bit fishy, a lot of bit fishy, and it makes you wonder, like, why aren't they allowing the Errol Spence Jr. fight to go forward, the Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas fight to go forward? And I think it's simply because they would rather see you guys. It's weird because I think they would rather have you guys representing the WBA than to have Errol Spence Jr. perhaps unify all titles. Because I think a lot of people feel like if Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas fought, that Errol Spence would easily beat him. But I beg to differ. And it's almost like they're cashing in on you guys, but protecting Errol Spence at the same time. So I don't know I don't know where they're going with this, and I don't know where it's all going to end up at the end of the day, because they want one champion by March of 2022. Okay, so by then Spence would have been back and had a comeback fight already. So maybe it's a way for them to milk this a little bit more, even though that's not what fans want, because fans want to see the best fighting the best. But that's their way of milking this a little bit more, giving Errol Spence a chance to come back and get a tune-up fight before taking on a difficult opponent, because Crawford would have fought Porter. You know, you guys would have fought in this tournament. It's definitely going to end up being 2 fights. So it could be a year before you ever see Yordenis Ugas versus Errol Spence Jr. So what does that do to the unification talk? You know, if it's going to take up until March of 2022 for this tournament to be over, that's 2 fights in about 8 months, you know, for you guys. And then he would have to turn around and fight Errol Spence Jr. probably sometime in the summertime. So that'd be almost 3 fights in the span of a year for Yordenis Ugas, which is almost like putting him through the gauntlet to get to Errol Spence, who is the unified champion. He's not the undisputed unified champion, but he's the unified champion of the welterweight division at the moment. So it's gonna be weird how all this plays out. Is you guys Spence ever gonna happen? Is Spence Crawford ever gonna happen? Will we see a Crawford you guys fight instead of a Spence you guys fight? Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section. It's your boy Cardinal Red Room Sports, and we are out of here.
It's summer, man. It's summer. Hey, look, I ain't shorty. I ain't gonna do your thing. The party just started, I ain't even had a drink yet. Hope she got a drink, cause me and Keith, we wanna spank that. Girls running slow on the floor, and I like that. Grabbing on ass, she ain't even trying to bite back. That means she like it. Now turn around, take it to the flow, pick it up and bring it right back. You thought I wasn't gonna pull nothing, leaving out the parking lot with a car full of hype and penetration, that's the only way I give it to you. Magnum XL, that's the only thing that's fitting to the thick size. Hope you got some breasts with them thick thighs. Guess so, cause I can see let's go in the eyes. Man, you know I got to poker. She like how I look in my Lacoste loafers. Now let me get my hand on the Optimo when she